Hey there, welcome back to the Win a Pageant podcast. I'm your coach, Alicia Darby. Now, this episode features a client of mine who agreed to 3 specific things: to be coachable, to be vulnerable, and to have her coaching session recorded and published in order to help you. So I know that a lot of women who haven't had pageant coaching before don't really know what to expect or how much can you really even get done in 30 minutes. So this client of mine agreed to have her session recorded in order to show you what gets done and how it gets done during a virtual coaching session. Okay. So I want you to listen to this call from 2 different perspectives. First of all, I want you to think, could pageant coaching, especially virtually, even be something that could help you in your pageant prep? I want you to be thinking about that. At the end of the video, I'll tell you how you could make that a reality for you. And the second thing that I really want you to pay attention to is I want you to think the things that I'm sharing with her, the coaching that I'm giving her, how can you apply that coaching to your own pageant prep, okay? What are the things that she's learning in this and the skills that she's developing and the strategy that she's learning? How can you apply that to yourself? I'm so grateful that this client allowed me to record this call because I know a lot of the things that she learned during this call will support you in your pageant prep. So sit back with an open mind, maybe get a notepad and a pen handy because a lot of this coaching is going to apply to you too, all right? Enjoy. I want to start with, in your application, you mentioned you wanted to talk about interview and calming your nerves. So we want to talk about that as well. But then you also talked about you could go in very prepared and what you want to talk about, but then your brain is like what is happening to me here? That happens to all of us. Yep. So I know the feeling very well. So you want to do that, but then I'm sure there might be other things too. So you tried taking deep breaths to calm down and other ideas. So share with me a little bit from your, like in your own words, what do we need to work on today?
So I tend to talk fast when I get nervous, and I'm even just trying to slow down. So when I get into interview, I get really excited, and then my brain is going 10 miles a minute. So it's at a decent pace, I want to say, but my mouth is moving 100 miles a minute and moves faster than my brain is. So I just start blah, 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 rambling, and it gets real awkward real fast.
Well, you're not alone. You are not alone. So good. So we're gonna chat about that. So tell me a little bit about how you've already been preparing for. Well, first, when is your pageant? I think you have it here.
My pageant is July. It starts July 12th.
Okay, cool. So
it starts July 12th. So I have a while.
That's good.
Still trying to prepare now. So
brilliant. That is so smart. I think that the best competitors prepare 6 to 9 months in advance. And then there are some people who they just have been competing for years. So they're always in preparation mode,
I competed with this system a couple years ago, and I decided to go back this year. So I've kind of been mentally preparing since then, casually going over my judges' comments and everything. But now that I actually have received my title, it's nose to the grindstone, get ready for it.
Yeah, you're it's go time. Now it's coming real.
Yes,
yeah. Cool. Good. So, okay. So tell me a little bit about your platform or legacy project, or what are the things that you discuss in your interview?
So my platform is Your Passion Project, and I am currently working with a couple of local high school teachers to develop worksheets and volunteer opportunities for high school students to go and do so they can figure out what sets their souls on fire. I want them to not be like me. I was a senior at the University of Toledo and an education major, got into the classroom and decided this is not what I want to do. And I figured if I could have gotten into the classroom earlier, I would have known earlier and would have not felt as if it not wasted my time, but was a lot of time that I'm not going to get back and that I paid for.
Yeah.
So I figured if I could develop a system for high school students to go in and try and figure out what they want to do through volunteering, through worksheets, they could really get a feel for it and they won't feel like I did senior year freaking out.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Interesting. Wow. That happened to me too. I was I had probably 15 different majors. I was and then I would try it and then I'd be I don't like this. And then I'd change my major and then I'd go again. And I'd be I don't like this. So I get it. Yeah. But
Yeah.
this happened. So you're targeting high school. You want to work with high school students, like help them determine it. Oh, this is
Yeah.
good. So that then when they get into
Because college is expensive.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that they have a better grip on things. Okay. So how far along is your project right now? Have you done this a lot, or is it just in the beginning stages?
Yes, it's in the beginning stages because it's kind of hard to figure out not only how to properly influence these students, but how to actually, like, what we need to put on the worksheet for it to make sense. But I've also been working with the high school teacher who now, because of Corona, has a lot more time on his hands. So we're planning on knocking that out a few times. So hopefully by this July, I'll have a worksheet like online so students can actually go in and figure it out and figure out where to volunteer based on that worksheet.
Okay, this is great. Okay, so first let me say to you, the reason that most people get either nervous or they get tripped up in their own interview, the reason for that is due to lack of preparation. And it is not, and you know that, and it's not in preparation like I have to practice questions and I have to practice like, what if they ask me this, then I'm going to say that, or memorizing the answer. That is the wrong preparation. But most people spend their time doing that. Most people are like, okay, mom, ask me a question. Ask me another question. Ask me another. And it's like, that's the worst preparation that you could do. What's happening, Jade, for you and for many other people is that you are not prepared for the title should you win. That's what you're working on right now, okay? But because of the fact that it's still in the early stages, or what happens for a lot of girls is they've got a really great idea, and then they take no steps. They squander their time. They take no steps, and then 2 weeks before their pageant, they're like, oh, maybe I need to post something on social media, or I need to like host a workshop real fast, or start to do something. And then they are aware of the fact that they haven't done anything. So they can't really fully prove the fact they're actually ready for the title. So what the steps that you are on, if you continue the way you're doing, you'll already feel more calm in your interview. But the tricky part is you actually have to do it, right? So that's the part that it's like, we still have to actually implement this so that when you walk into your interview, confidence comes from two things. Number one is practice. Yes. The second is knowing that you are the best. And when you know, like, look at these yahoos around here. All these girls just came up with something last night and they're all trying to like post on social media today. Like, but you've been literally doing this for months on end. Then you will be like, shoot, I am the best person with this thing. Like, so then you walk in and now you're like, hey, ask me about all the stuff I've been working on. Cause I got something to say. So now it isn't about, and you've said it so many times because you've done the work with the teacher that you're going to be working with now. So you're going to be putting together that work. Right now, you don't even know. Like if I asked you, well, what are the top 3 things that students need to know in order to discover the passion? Like you're like, well, like you could think about it. And if you thought it through, you would have the answer. The answer is in you. And so your brain is like coming, but you're like, I know I actually could do so much better than this. My potential is great. And yet I'm stumbling around. And it's just because you haven't gotten further enough down the track, right? So let's create a strategy to get you quickly further down the track so that you can start feeling more confident, so that the interview is like, the interview should be the least of you. Someone like you, that's the least of your worries. Like that's just you saying what you've done. Like you're easy to talk to, you're smiley, you're bubbly, you're easy to look at. Like all these things are
thank you.
Like really, that's the easy part for you, right? So now it's like, okay, let's get you to the place where now you actually are the best person to win this pageant. And you're not just like last minute, like, well, I had this great idea, but now I worked with a client who had a brilliant, I'm not kidding, brilliant legacy project. Her goal was to write a book that we had this whole plan of how she's going to distribute the book, how it was going to, it was amazing. She did nothing for like she could have done it 3 months before her pageant. She could have done it. She didn't do it. She was like, oh, I'm picking out my wardrobe, I'm picking out whatever. She did her on-stage answer, and it was like, she talked about the fact she has an idea and she shared the idea, and it was like a great idea and stuff. She did not win. Literally an entire year went by. She competed again the next year. Her answer to her onstage question was exactly the same as the year prior. She still did nothing. Still nothing. And I was like, oh man, this girl has so much potential. Why is she not doing this? So for you, Jade, I'm telling you, do the work. All right. So let's get your plan together here. Okay. So your goal is, your story is great, by the way. Like, you're like, I had no clue what I was doing, and I didn't get enough volunteer experience because no one told you to, or you didn't take action on it, or you didn't know where to start. And it's probably all those things, So how are you going to solve that problem? You're going to tell people to do it. You're going to give them the tools that they need to do it, like where to go to get it. And then you're going to market the heck out of it so that people will not miss it, because it's that important. People have to know that this is even out there, right? Okay, so
right.
So they're going to get this worksheet. So far they're going to get it. They're going to get access to this worksheet, and it's going to help them discover their passions or something, right? So tell me more about the system of, like, if I'm in high school and then you come along and you say, okay, Alicia, here's this thing, like, walk me through the process.
So in my head, the way it'll work is we go in and we talk to the students about like what they like to do, whether it's working with animals, working with children, like even just working with adults, because some people don't like children and like adults more. It happens. So they want to go into a field so I like working with people because people are very entertaining. I learned that as a server.
Yes.
I want to go in. Yes, I love it. It's great. But that's why I want to go in, so that way they kind of know where to start, and you can find different organizations with it. So if they want to work more with kids, I recommend Big Brother, Big Sisters, or if they want to work with animals, maybe getting into their local animal shelter and try and get them a contact there, so that way they can get in and they can see, can I really see myself doing this for the long haul?
Yeah, this is cool. So what if you were to, like, in my mind, I'm thinking, if I'm in high school and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm going to do with my life, and maybe my mom and dad are in whatever industry, but I just know I don't want to be in that. Like, actually, this is my story exactly. Yeah, you too? Okay, yeah, girl. Yes. We are soul sisters. I'm glad this is happening.
Yeah, here, I feel it.
Yes. Okay, so my mom and dad were both in education. So my mom was a kindergarten teacher. My dad he started in special education and then became a principal. So they were in education. And pretty much everybody else in my extended family was also in education, except for I had a cousin in pharmacy. That was it. So when I was coming up, I'm like, well, the only example I had of career was education. So it's hard to even know what anything else would look like. Like, what would it look like if I were a veterinarian? What would it look like if I were an admin for a company? What would it look like if I sold medical devices, or it was a door-to-door solar representative, or was a makeup artist? Or I literally had no other examples at all. So what could be interesting, what I think I would have loved at that time is, because right now, and I'm putting words into your mouth to add to your arsenal of why this project is important. Right now, what high school students do with guidance counselors and stuff like that, and I did this myself because I was like, I don't know what I'm going to go to college. I don't know what for, and I'm like, probably education, because that's all I know. You know what I mean? I was like, I just don't want to do education, but I was like, I'm probably going to end up. Well, so what I did was I took things like the Holland test. Are you familiar with Holland career assessment? So Holland career assessment. You heard of it or no? I'm going to put it in the chat box right now so you see it. Okay. Holland Code. If you look up Holland Code, there was a time in my life I was a career counselor. So these are I know these well. So the Holland Code is this theorist who created an assessment that people can take. You usually pay money if you want to take the Mac Daddy one, but you could also take the like free. A bunch of career centers offer them for free. Anyway, the point is they say, okay, well, based on all the things that you enjoy, here's an industry that you might be interested in. And so when I took it, it was like, oh, well, based on all the things that you enjoy, here's an industry you might. And it was like, be a painter and be like an artist. And I was like, what? I hate painting. Well, how did this come up? Like, yeah, I was like, and it was like, be a dancer. Cause I was a dancer at the time and I enjoyed dance, but I don't want to dance professionally. Like I was like, what? This is crazy, you know? But even with that, I was like, well, now what? Even if I knew what that was, what you're doing is you're taking, okay, let's try it out. Let's try it on so that you, with a low, so like, let's say if I just was like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to be a painter and now I sign up for art school, you know, and I'm like, oh, here I'm stuck in art school now. Like that's still the problem, right? So what you're saying is, okay, let's bridge the gap between what we think we might be interested in. Let's try it on so that we can test out that before we actually commit to schooling or investments and other types. Okay, so what you might do is create some form of an assessment that's like your own assessment that is maybe it's more of like there's a concept of in educational space, there's the idea of theory and practice. And in a lot of settings, they will say, are you learning theory or are you learning practical? And so when you take like a psychology class or something, usually you take a theoretical portion of it where you learn the theory, but then you do a practicum, which is where what you described, where your practicum was, I had to go do education. I had to be in the classroom, right? So what you're describing is theory is great, and we need theory to help us understand things, but let's also do a practicum. So you're going to help high school students get the practice before they waste all the money on the theory, you know? Okay, and it's not wasted. We know it's not wasted, but it's just, it's going to help them get to their goal faster and help them understand it better. So if you created an assessment that said, okay, of all of the, and I would recommend that you look at the Holland Code because it kind of segments careers in a variety of different things. So it says like, these ones are the mechanical. So people who love hands-on stuff, like, do you like to fix things and to sort things and manually like touch and figure out, those are like the engineers or the computer people or the you know, that type of the mechanics. Then there's like the artists. And are you an artist because you like to create new things and you like to try things and you're more abstract and you're more, you know, or then there's like the people who love data analysis and they just like love data. They just want stats and they want math and that's a different type of thing. And then there's the type of person who likes to work with people or likes to work with or whatever. So the Holland Code will help you see a variety of what is currently based on decades worth of theory, what's out there that are segments. Then what you could do is say, okay, here's an assessment. Which of these is your top 3? Like, do you like mechanics? Do you like this? Do you like that? Do you like that? And they pick 3. And then within those 3, they maybe go to a new page and it says, okay, now if you like this, here are some of the things that you could try out. Or maybe, this could even be good too. What if you could find, maybe your high school even has a Holland Code like thing, but if you could find a resource where that's already set up to take the Holland Code, but then you take it one step further. So you would say, okay, you take the Holland Code assessment and you figure out like what are your favorite top 3 interests. Then let's say that like I get back, oh, you should be a painter, an artist. Well, then you could say, well, how do I try that out? Like what, how can I actually try that out? You know? And now I go to your resource, which says, okay, did they tell you that you would be great working with people? Okay, here's the things that you would recommend. Do you want to work with people, adults? Do you want to work with people, children? Do you want to work with people with special needs? Do you want to work with people in the elderly segment? Do you want to work with people with who are in your own peer group? Do you want to work with people? So now you say, then you give them a list. Okay, so you want to work with young people that are in special needs. Here's a list of organizations that you should reach out to that you could do. So now it's like an idea generating thing. Then,
I love it.
Okay, so now let's say you've got your worksheets set. Okay, you've got, there's like 6 in the Holland Code. There's like 6 different categories. So from that, you're going to have at least 6 different worksheets that will be like, okay, if you are in the mechanical area, here's some things that you could consider trying, and here's some organizations to try it with. Okay, but then Now they're going to need to know, okay, well, what if I don't like this? Or what if I try, or how far should I try this? Or how about like, what if I tried it and then I don't like it? How do I skip into a different category? What's the process? So now you, Jade, are going to have to come, here's the work. That's the fun stuff, is creating the worksheets and getting it all organized, the system. Now you've got to come up with, now what? So this is the guiding part. So now you're going to guide people through, okay, well, first step is take the assessment. Now you're going to go choose 3 to do. Choose 3 and then try one. Now, after you try one, now what do? I tried it, and now do I need to weigh the pros and cons? How do I know what I liked and what I disliked about it? So now maybe there's like an accompanying journal that, in the journal, you could even like create a journal of, like reflective. It's a reflective journal. So it's like, how did you, and you're going to use your own experience, Jade, to understand, like, because you probably came out of a classroom and you were like, I didn't really like that, but I don't know what I didn't like about it. I just know I didn't like it.
Right.
Well, so is it the kids that you didn't like? Is it that you didn't like that specific classroom? Is it that you didn't, who knows? Like, so what would be the questions you need to ask yourself to say, okay, tell me.
I'm sorry. I ended up actually asking myself some of those questions, and I hope I can find the book where I wrote it all down. But after like asking a few questions to myself, because I was a very reflective person at that time, wanted to make sure it wasn't just a bad week or a bad month, or like if it was really something I truly just did not enjoy. I thought I loved the kids. The kids were the best part of the entire experience, but it was the way the system is set up, and we're teaching kids now to become test takers, and that's not what I signed up for. I wanted to teach them to become better humans. And so that's actually how I stumbled into my new path of law, so I could become a child advocacy lawyer to kind of get in there and help the kids at the root of the problem.
That's so cool. Wow, I love this. This is cool. So those questions are going to serve you because you went through this process. So and even if you can't find the book, just take yourself back to that moment and be like, okay, what would you recommend somebody else ask that, was it the environment? It's going to be things like, was it the environment that you were in? Was it, because it could be like, maybe I love accounting, but I tried this thing out at an accountant firm and I realized I don't want to do it for a corporation. I would rather do it for small business. Or, so was it the client? Was it the environment? Was it the hours? Maybe it's the hours, or, you're going to ask them to reflect on a couple of different areas and then to choose something else based on your reflection, choose something else. I found in my own personal experience, and you can steal this for yourself, I found that it takes me 3 times to really discover if I actually like something or not. So when I first started yoga, everybody loved yoga. I was in graduate school and everybody loved yoga. And I was like, yoga is annoying. Like it's still, and like you sit there for forever. And I'm like, I don't want to calm my brain down. I'm like, I want to do stuff. Yeah. But I was like, there's something about this yoga that everybody likes. So maybe I ought to look into it. So I said, before I even tried a class, I said, I'm going to try 3 classes before I decide if I like it or not. The first class, I hated it. The second class, I was like, oh, I think I know why other people like this now. Like, I guess I can kind of see their perspective. By the third class, I was like, oh, okay, I'm in. I like it now. And it just took me 3 times, So for your students that you are working with, perhaps they might need to have 3 interactions to really know if it's something that and to truly reflect on it, to really be able to like really know, to be able to write it off, you have to like actually have, so maybe that's a part of your thing is like, you're going to give them 3 tries. And after each one, they have a journal for the first one, the second one, and the third one. And then at the third one, it's like, well, what do I do now? Like, what's my next step? Right. Okay. So Jade, you're going to create, okay. So wait, when's your pageant again? Sorry. I keep asking you that question.
July 12th.
July. All right. So right now we are basically coming into April, May, June, July. Okay. So you've got like at least 3 solid months to actually put some good effort into this. My recommendation would be in the next like week, you could probably figure out those things, the journal questions, and at least 1 or 2 of look at Holland Code and figure out like, what's the worksheets that I want associated with this. Then work with the teacher. The teacher is going to be the best guide ever because you'll be able to say in your pageant that you've also partnered with a high school teacher to help get this information into the classroom. But this is stuff that you can even do beyond that. So I know you are on social media. And so social media, as much as people are like, it's so hard to get into, it is. But there are ways that you can use that to get your information out, to disseminate your information. So you're going to probably start, I think you'd be great on video. So I would say that you start doing like some videos. It doesn't have to be live. It could be pre-recorded, whatever. And they're just simple, but they're like, hey, have you considered, and Jade, think about for your legacy project, it has to be clear. It's going to make it easier for you in your interview if it's crystal clear in your mind. So you've got to have some things that you stand on no matter what as a part of your legacy project. So I've given you a few. Like I would recommend that you stand on the fact that you have to try a thing 3 times. Like that should be a part or whatever, something similar to that. That's a tenet of your legacy project. You got to try something 3 times. Okay. You've got to, like another thing is just the practical versus the theory. So that could be a tenet of your communication is that just get used to saying, oh yeah, well, oftentimes high school students learn about different careers. And in elementary school, we have take your parent to work day and career day or whatever, and they talk about it, but they don't get to actually practice it. So my legacy project, your passion project, actually helps you to practice your finding what your passion truly is, So things like that are going to be your go-to. Then you create a video. Hi guys, it's Jade. Hey, I just want to let you know if you are a high school student and you are looking at what you're going to do next, can I please encourage you, try it before you commit. I had this experience, and I recommend you try something 3 times. In fact, if you're somebody like me who loves working with people, then you've got to email me because I'm going to give you my worksheet that you can figure out organizations that you can practice working with because it's so important. Okay, bye. And then that's your video. Okay? So you're going to test that out. Once you start doing that on camera a few times, you've got 4 months before your pageant. Once you start doing that a little bit, then you show up to your interview and you're like, I've literally said this 1,000 times in social media, to the teacher, to now it's like, come on, bring it on. Like you're going to be so confident and you will have said it so many times that now when they ask the question and your brain is like, you're not now searching for, the answer's in you. Now you've actually said the answer 1 billion times in so many different ways, naturally from how you are to people in a natural setting. So now when you say it in an interview, it isn't a nerve-wracking experience because you've said it 20 million times outside of interview, right?
Right.
Okay. How does this feel for you? How does this sitting?
I'm loving it. It's like making so much sense, wondering why I didn't think of things like this before, but also like I have a whole page of notes if you can't tell.
Yay!
So I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
Good. This is great. So, and you're going to get this recording. So you'll be able to, I always record my coaching calls because stuff comes up and then we're like, wait, what did you say? Wait, how was I supposed to do this? Like you said it so perfectly.
Right.
So you'll have it and you can go back to it. But I would say your next step right now, and you said you're talking, do you have it on the calendar already to talk to the teacher?
Yes. He's one of my best friends, like husbands. So literally there all the time.
That's perfect. Okay, good. So maybe even before you start this project, perhaps you just give him a call and run it by him real quick. Like, hey, here's the direction I'm heading, just say, hey, can I have 10 minutes? Like, here's what I'm thinking about. I want to create these worksheets and and then get him to be like, yes, it's awesome. Or he might say, let's not call them worksheets. Let's call them fun sheets. Or I don't know, maybe he'll have some new thing that we're not thinking of before you get down the track too far. So then you get kind of him on board and giving a little other guidance. And then you say, okay, let's do it. You could probably bang these out pretty quickly. Get a couple of them, run it by him. We get one, run it by him and be like, hey, what do you think about this? Any tweaks, any ideas? What am I missing? Get him to say, yep, here, let's do it like this. Okay, you go back to the drawing board and you fix the little details and then get it out. Now you've got something really, And Jade, in down the road, I'm even thinking for you, if you were to, now don't let me overwhelm you. Sometimes I take things to the extreme, but I'm also thinking like, if you win this national title, you're going to want to do something like this, where you could even create a shop on Etsy, which is very easy to do. And you could sell for a very small price point. You could sell the reflections or whatever, $2, $4, whatever. You could sell these worksheets and these guides or whatever, and have the proceeds benefit an organization that you partner with, whether it's the National Pageant Organization or something that you could be working alongside. Maybe you even create a scholarship. Maybe you use those funds and you create a scholarship fund along with other things, perhaps, but you make it a really still accessible price point for people that are wanting them, that is now we're taking it to, now you're excited about interview. Now you're asking the judges, ask me everything. Cause you're going to be like, bam, like telling them that you're amazing.
I'm ready.
Right? Yeah.
It's so funny that you mentioned scholarship, because right before you said it, I wrote down potential scholarship ?
See, we are soul sisters. Oh my gosh.
Yes, we're on the same page.
Yes, totally. So yeah, so you want to think about, you're doing it right now. You're doing it one-on-one with that high school teacher, but it can't stop there because it's too local. So as a pageant woman, you are going to be responsible for serving a greater community than just your own. So you have to figure out a way to say, how can I create a system for this that's replicable beyond just me, right? So it has to be something that can be pushed out beyond you. So that's why I say something like the Etsy. It doesn't have to be on Etsy, but Etsy is just so easy to get started on. And it's a way to kind of, and social media, I'm telling you, social media, it makes a difference. It's not, usually in most pageants, it's not scored, but it is a way to communicate your message. So if you're able to do those, and it helps you just practice, especially when you have like a really low following, it's like the best time to practice, because you could just be making videos and you're like, whoops, that one went crazy. Like, well, I probably won't do it again. But 3 months later, you make a very similar video. You just are better at it because you've been practiced now, So now by the time 4 months from now, you show up for your interview, and now it's going to be like, boom, you bang it out, It'll be simple by then. Yay. Good. Okay, Jade, you're in the pageant interview game plan, right?
I'm not in the game plan. I have the binder and all your handouts and everything.
Okay.
Looking at.
Okay. I was going to say the game plan. If you're considering the game plan, there's a training in there that goes deep into Legacy Project. So if you were to be a member of that, that's something that I would point you to. The pageant binder will also help you with this. As you get further, go revisit the pageant binder because it talks about media points. So what are the main things that you want to share? That's going to be vital for your pageant interview as well. Like, what are the main points that I want to make sure that I communicate? So for you, it's going to be like, obviously your story. You're gonna want to have some type of accolade, like a big win with your legacy project. So perhaps it's like you get this and right now is a great time because schools everywhere are going to online learning. So students are also going to be like learning how to manage themselves. Even like an 8th grader is going to be learning on a computer. They're not used to that. So they don't know how to manage themselves, but they're going to be learning that as a part of this next process. So they could also learn from a computer with you, and you be the role model and the inspiration that says, look, this stuff is important, So it's a beautiful time right now to do the work that you're doing. So yes, cool.
I'm excited.
How does this feel, Jade? How do you feel?
I love it. I'm so excited. It's kind of given me clarity a little bit more. So it's given me like a path, and I'm ready to take it on. I'm excited.
Woohoo! I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, clarity is like vital because when we feel like confusion, we're out there like, I don't know, this could go any direction. And it takes action to sort out the clear. You will get even more clarity the more action that you take. So keep going, and don't feel like, oh, this could just take. You're going to need to get most of this work done in the next 2 months so that then the marketing process can happen in month 3. And now you're getting prepared for your pageant, So instead of like, I'm not saying you're doing this, but a lot of girls out there are like, Mom, ask me a question. Mom, ask me, hey, to your husband, hey, ask me a question. Hey, you're looking up questions online. What should, Don't do it that way. Instead, the practice should come from, the preparation comes from, do a media interview. Talk through this with other teachers. Call up a random teacher. Call up your own teacher from high school and say, hey, guidance counselors, get a list of guidance counselors and say, hey, here's what I'm developing. How can this serve you? If this benefited you, what would you like to see on it? Those types of conversations, that's where the preparation really comes from. And it's going to make your interview a breeze, I promise you.
Good. I'm excited.
Yay, girl. All right, honey. Well, I'm going to make sure that you get this recording so that you've got it and you can go back and stuff like that. Give me till the end of the day because I've got back-to-back appointments today. So give me to the end of the day, but I'll make sure that you get it. And then if there's anything else I can serve you with, reach out to me.
Yes, of course.
All right, dear.
You're
my pleasure.
Thank you.
Ooh, wasn't that good stuff? Oh, I hope you learned so much from her. I know I had so much fun doing this strategy call with her, as we usually do. It's fun. So 2 things. If you need to hear more of these strategy sessions, because they're so good and you can learn so much from them, then just search strategy sessions, because I have a few more clients that also agreed to be recorded. So you'll be able to look at the behind the scenes of their calls as well. And then if you are ready to schedule your strategy session, you can go to winapageant.com/coaching. That's going to take you to my calendar so you can see what appointments are available and when you can book yours. And you'll also see pricing options there, which types of calls are available and how much do each of them cost. And you can book your call directly from there. I cannot wait to work with you. Head over to winapageant.com/coaching to check it out. I'll see you next time.